Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. My name is Alex Dworkin, and I'm a managing partner at 4D Capital. We specialize in a very unique mathematical approach to the stock market, where we calculate the market and individual stocks in multidimensional space. And when we do, essentially perfect order emerges. On top of that, we've developed a number of very powerful timing tools over the years. And when we combine both of them, we can essentially predict with high degree of accuracy exactly what the overall stock market or individual stocks will do in both time and price. And we can typically do it on multiple time frames, whether it's short term or long term, doesn't really matter. I personally believe our work is nearly identical to what Jim Simmons was able to accomplish at Renaissance Technologies, if you're familiar with Jim. So our firm's goal is to essentially identify stocks that will 2x, 5x, 10x, and do so within a relatively short period of time. And I guess that's everybody's goal. But we have a secret weapon, and that secret weapon is our software that has been developed around our mathematical calculations. And what that software is able to do, it is able to calculate, let's say, for example, the entire S&P 500 and multidimensional space. It is able to identify stocks that will have a very important upcoming bottom, because you cannot generate those kind of returns on the short side. So we're looking for very important bottoms, and then subsequently our software is able to calculate how far higher that stock is going to go in both time and price. And we essentially concentrate only on stocks that will appreciate significantly within a relatively short period of time. So we're essentially looking for the next NVIDIA, Apple, Bitcoin, and so forth. And that's how we are able to identify it. We have a 30-day free trial associated with our work. You're more than welcome to request it. Link in the description of this video, and you will see for yourself the quality of the stocks and quality of our timing and time and price calculations. Okay, so today we are going to be doing an update on Microsoft. Microsoft is one of our 52 mega cap stocks that we update twice a year, and it's been a while. I think last update we did in April, early April as a matter of fact. And let me remove this for a little bit of clarity of the chart. And this is the update that, well, as of today, really. So if you, I'll get into the specifics of the forecast here in a second. I want to describe in a little bit greater detail the validity of our work, or how we calculate this. But before I do, let me just very quickly say that right here in early April, we're coming out and we're saying that this particular top doesn't make any mathematical sense, and that Microsoft will go up and essentially put in a new all-time high around, at the very least, around $476, possibly higher. And at this juncture, very few people saw any hope for Microsoft. Everybody was a little bit bearish in the stock, but as you can see, it bottomed in April and then surged to recent highs of $545, or no, I'm sorry, $555, I believe. We'll get back into that in a second. So I'll describe our work a little bit, how it's applied to stocks such as Microsoft. If you're familiar with our work, if you already heard what I had to say about the cycle composites and cycle clusters, skip forward probably 2 or 3 minutes, and you'll be right in the midst of our forecast. So the triangle you see at the bottom and the top of the chart is what we would call cycle clusters. And cycle clusters is well, the bottom ones are responsible for the bottoms, obviously, and the top ones are responsible for the tops. And this is a very simplistic representation of very complex mathematical concept, where we scan the chart back in multidimensional space, we identify those cycles, and we project them into the future, right? And that allows us to identify both, as in the case here, long-term turning points, but if we continue to narrow it down, it allows us to find the short-term turning points. So what makes matter a little bit more complicated, there are typically multiple composites running in both on top and the bottom. I give Dow Jones as an example all the time, and Dow Jones, for example, has 2 of these bottom composites and 2 of these top composites. But if you put them together, you get a very clear representation of what the actual stock price is doing on the 2-dimensional chart. Essentially, you can replicate the movement of the actual stock, and you can very closely replicate what's going on the chart itself, and then obviously project in the future, and you have a very clear picture of what the stock is going to do going forward. Now the lines you see, so these are cycles. Let me remove this. So the lines you see, so as I'd like to say, cycle composites get us into the neighborhood. Typically very long-term cycles, especially if we're looking at the long-term composition of any given stock. But they give us into the neighborhood, let's say plus or minus 2 months, particularly if we're dealing with longer term cycles. The cycle composite or cycle clusters, the lines you see on the chart here, is also a very simplistic representation of very complex mathematical concept. So we also scan the chart back in multidimensional space, but this time we're using our proprietary cycles. So we identify them and we project them into the future. And what we found over the years is that typically very important turning points happen not when any given cycle arrives, but when there's a multitude of cycles arriving at the same time. So if we have 2, 5, 10, the more the merrier, cycles arriving at the same time, rest assured, particularly if those cycles are longer term cycles, there's going to be an important turning point there. Okay? So if we look at the chart here on the left hand side, you will see that if I click on any of these lines, you will see that, for example, in December there are 2 cycles arriving, in November there are 4 cycles arriving, in January there are 5 cycles arriving, and then we can look at them individually and determine which one is projecting an important turning point for this particular stock. So let me remove them and then get into the forecast. So as I mentioned, we were projecting that Microsoft hasn't topped here, it's going to go higher, and that has been the case indeed. We are sitting right here at, or the recent high a couple of weeks ago was at 555, or possibly a couple of days ago as a matter of fact, was $555 a share. And the dots you see is a three-dimensional representation of where this stock is going to top out. So these 2 dots here, one at $580 and one at $590, is a very good representation of where we anticipate the top. So the triangles here, as you can see, they are projecting a top, major cycle top, and that's what the stock is working towards. It's running a little bit behind schedule. Our software is unable to extend cycles as of right now, but when we go in and we do the analysis by hand, so to speak, we can notice it and we can make adjustments. So I assure you, this particular cycle is extending a little bit into the future to accommodate this top, and it will arrive very soon. As I indicated earlier, there are a number of very important cycles coming up in November, December, and January, and we anticipate a turning point right here. Once that major cycle top arrives, the stock will decline into this major cycle bottom, which is scheduled for the 4th quarter of 2026 in the same formation as the overall stock market. Okay, so let me minimize this chart here for a second, and we'll go in, and this is yet another three-dimensional representation of our calculations. I know it probably doesn't make any sense to you, but it makes perfect sense to us. And I've narrowed down the time window and the price window for our anticipated top, and this is what it yields as well. So if you can look here, it's $601 to $616 a share, but our calculations by hand essentially reveal that Microsoft is going to top out approximately $590 plus or minus $10. So around that region relatively soon. If you want exact targets and exact time frames associated with this particular top, I do encourage you to request a free trial associated with our work, and you will see those targets there. Now, once the top is put in place, once again, let me go back to the previous chart and show you. So once again, once this top is put in place, major cycle top, it's going to decline into a major cycle top. Bottom, once again, anticipated in late 2026. And our preliminary calculations, we haven't done the actual calculations yet, but our preliminary calculations indicate that stock will decline into at least $300 a share, possibly lower into mid 200s. Once we have the actual top, we can calculate it with more precision. Yeah, that's where the bottom is going to be for Microsoft. And once this bottom is put in place, it's going to once again increase into a major cycle top scheduled for, let's say, 2029 or thereabout. So that's the forecast for Microsoft. Let's see what else. That's pretty much it. We do once again have a free trial associated with our work. We have so much very valuable information, not only in terms of the overall stock market, but we have these 52 mega cap stocks that we update twice a year. We have fast movers, we have super equities, we have just a tremendous amount of information, including all of the time and price calculations, as well as the trading parameters that we associate with different stocks. So I do encourage you to request a free trial. Once again, link in the description of this video, and we can go from there. No credit cards, no strings attached, none of that stuff. So we do have a webinar coming this Friday, the 17th at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. One of the benefits of this particular webinar is we discuss the overall composition of the stock market. We typically shy away from that in various forums because that's our bread and butter, but we'll talk about that. We also showcase our software, and we show you how we calculate the market in multidimensional space. So if you would be interested in any of that, please link in the description of the video as well. Please register for it. It's limited to 10 people, and you'll have, I believe, a wealth of information coming out of it. That's pretty much it. We'll be back with another update of a stock tomorrow. We're also doing the web. I'm sorry, not the web, but the Countdown to Armageddon series. We started that, so I do encourage you to check that out as well. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share it with your friends. Thank you very much for your time. We'll be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.